Hi, Sheba. Tonight I have with me, of course, I have my beautiful sister wife, my co-host Summer. I have the beautiful, grounded Miss Serenity, and of course our Sir Lorenzo Knight. Tonight, Single won't be with us, but she says she'll see you guys next Tuesday. So before we begin, I just want to let you know tonight's conversation centers around one question. When submission happens after trauma, is it healing or hiding? Because trauma does not disappear simply because someone enters the dynamic. And survival responses do not automatically stop because someone feels safe intellectually. For many people, submission can become healing, grounded, emotionally corrective, and deeply affirming. But for others, submission can also become emotional concealment, self-erasure, hypervigilance, and fear-based adaptation. And sometimes the hardest part is recognizing the difference. Before we begin, just want to let you all know this is an educational discussion. It is not therapy, diagnosis, or replacement for professional care. Tonight we will discuss trauma responses, attachment patterns, emotional regulation, and relational behavior. Some things may resonate deeply. Some may feel uncomfortable. Both are okay. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't, but remain honest with yourself. Now, before we get into it, I'm going to hand it off to the beautiful Miss Serenity.
Thank you. Now, before we move forward, just take a breath with me. In and out. And again, relax your shoulders, unclench your jaw. Now ask yourself, where have I mistaken survival for safety? Just notice, no judgment, none at all. And one more breath, in and out. And let's continue.
Thank you, sexy face. All right, let's get into it with setting the tone. One of the most difficult things about trauma is that it often changes what safety feels like. Sometimes safety stops feeling like openness and starts feeling like control, predictability, emotional self-monitoring. So a person can enter a dynamic genuinely believing they are healing while still operating from survival.
And that's where this conversation gets complicated because trauma responses are not always obvious. Sometimes they look like devotion, sometimes they look like low maintenance, sometimes they look like always being agreeable, composed, or emotionally controlled. And people often get praised for those behaviors without anyone asking, is this trust or fear?
Right. And sometimes even the person themselves doesn't know the difference yet because survival responses can feel incredibly normal when you're lived inside them long enough. That's why tonight's not about judgment, it's about awareness. All right, guys, this first section, when submission feels safer than selfhood. Trauma can fundamentally alter how a person experiences emotional safety. For some submissive, structure feels safer than spontaneity. Rules feel safer than uncertainty. Obedience feels safer than vulnerability. Predictability feels safer than emotional exposure. And while structure itself is not unhealthy, it becomes important to examine. Is the dynamic supporting healing or helping avoidance feel organized? Because sometimes submission becomes appealing not because the person feels safe expressing themselves, but because they feel safer minimizing themselves. This in itself can create emotional suppression, identity shrinking, fear of disagreement, or chronic self-monitoring. So meaning you pretty much just mute yourself. You become the most comfortable version of yourself, and not comfortable for you, comfortable for those around you. You watch how you walk, you watch how you talk, you watch your words, your engagement, what you say, what you do, how you do it. And in that submission, you find yourself losing yourself while the people around you are like, oh, that person's amazing. They are the bee's knees. They do what I tell them. They don't complain. They don't push back. And they don't realize that's not you showing your true submission. That's you operating from a fear base. You remember last week? That fear rises up and it dictates how you operate within a dynamic. And internally, the belief often becomes if I stay regulated, useful, agreeable, and needed, I reduce relational risk. But safety built entirely on performance is emotionally fragile, and it's only a matter of time before the floor gives way and everything falls to chaos.
Definitely. So we're going to go ahead and go to the chat. So good evening, everyone. So first question to the chat. When do you feel safest in relationships? When you are fully seen or when you are emotionally controlled? Again, when do you feel safest in relationships? When you are fully seen or when you are emotionally controlled? Sheba's going to take a look at the chat. Anyone is welcome to raise their hands or go off mute if you prefer to speak, or you can type it in the chat and Sheba will get to that.
Alrighty, let's see here. Okay, there we go. My Zoom was acting like it didn't want to load the chat up. Alrighty, so far, fully seen is winning by landslide. Fully seen by Candy. Uh, y'all, I am wearing my contacts tonight. Is that Morgan? Ooh, they're popping up. Mystique, fully seen, fully seen. Latricia adds, emotional control is on me, but my partner fully seeing me gives me a great sense of safety. Yeah, I can definitely relate. Chance asks, I feel safest when I am fully seen. I need to know that even though my complete and 24/7 submission, that I still have a voice that will be heard, even though daddy will have the final say. Stephanie also asks, fully seen as well. And that's definitely it. You got to not look at it like you're trying to take over or top from the bottom. You want to be able to offer a voice. That does not mean that what you say, what you suggest, what you divulge in that conversation is going to be taken as word, or that's immediately going to change the trajectory. Change the decision may still be the decision. If he said we was taking a right, we're probably still going to take a right. But the safety comes in knowing that you're in a dynamic where you can actually suggest maybe we should take a left. Not a demand. I want to make sure we're crystal clear on that. It's not a demand. You do not demand anything of your D type. A suggestion. So that voice being able to be heard is definitely an amazing chance. And El Nicole adds, fully seen gives both safety and vulnerability, because being fully seen also involves seeing my flaws along with the best parts of me. Agreed. Absolutely. I'm gonna give you a heart right here where you can see it. I see everybody hearting your stuff.
Yes, that was good
All
stuff.
right, and then Miko asks, "Hey everybody, sorry I'm late. I forgot I had to download Zoom and sign in. Get it together.
Hello.
We do this every Tuesday. You be seeing those little posts. Get it together. We don't see this problem next week, Miko. All righty, but I think that is everybody in the chat. Yeah, we got everybody in the chat. Mamiko she's been put on notice. She is heard. Um,
Poor thing.
Listen, I have to bother her. I have to bother her. Just because she told me she was coming tonight and now she's here, I need to make sure she's being seen.
Yes. Welcome, welcome, welcome. No more in the chat.
Alrighty. Anybody? Okay. Crystal Phoenix says, "Hey everyone, just got home from work." Oh, hey Crystal. Get
Hey,
comfy. Take your
Crystal.
shoes off. Get out your
Right.
uniform or your work outfit. Alrighty.
Or
All right.
water.
Look, grab your water. Definitely. No water. We don't get stickers around here not drinking our water.
Right.
Alrighty. All right, Summer, that is it in the chat. Back over to you.
Alrighty. So we're going to go ahead and go into trauma, compliance, and emotional self-erasure. One of the most misunderstood trauma responses is compliance, because compliance often is rewarded socially. People describe someone as easy, low maintenance, calm, accommodating, devoted. But trauma based compliance is not always trust. Sometimes it's fear management. A person learns, if I reduce my needs, I reduce conflict. If I stay agreeable, I stay emotionally safer. And eventually that behavior becomes automatic. When emotional suppression is rewarded long enough, the person may stop recognizing their own discomfort entirely. That's performance, something we don't want to do. Submission is not inherently self erasure, But trauma can blur the line between consensual surrender and protective disappearance. And that's that fine line we also touched last week about showing up in your submission authentically and not performative. You want to be a high performer, of course, depending on your dominant. So you always want to put your best foot forward, but you want to do it from an authentic place, because that's where burnout comes through. And we talked about that again last week. So it's nice. We're kind of layering it on week to week. I like this topic.
No, connecting the dots, if you will.
Yeah,
All
we are.
right. All right, let's keep connecting those dots then. We're going to do this, set it off with our first case study of the night, because you know we love our facts and we love our referencing material. This one, we're going to call it the Evie submissive. A submissive is consistently praised for being undemanding, adaptable, emotionally controlled, and endlessly accommodating. They rarely disagree or express needs. Externally, regulated and easy. Internally, if I become emotionally inconvenient, I may lose connection. So over time, what that translates into: the building of resentment, emotional numbness increasing, identity suppresses, and communication decreases. You start finding yourself limiting the opportunities where you can mess something up. So you talk less, you communicate less, you open up less, because you've convinced yourself internally that there is something going on the inside of me that if I express it, I know it's gonna be thrown back at me, or I'm gonna be looked at less than because of it, or as if I'm not showing up in some way. So instead of releasing that, the pressure builds and builds and builds, and then becomes a cycle of fear, followed by compliance, followed by praise, followed by deeper suppression, then followed by further detachment. So you get scared, you comply. You are praised for your compliance, so it tells you to shut up even more. And because you're shutting up, you start to detach yourself emotionally from the situation. That particular case study was mentioned by Bowlby in 1988, as well as Herman in 1992. Essentially, what looks peaceful externally may actually be survival through invisibility. It's okay to be the one that's low key. It's okay to fade into the background and that be your preferred place. We had to drag our sister wife Summer out here. She like doing production and back of house stuff, but she's able to get out of her shell. Y'all love her. You love her personality. So she's more of a quiet person, but she's by no means invisible. You'll hear her when it's time to hear her. She speaks up for herself. So that's that difference. You being invisible is okay if it's by choice. It is not okay if it's done out of the instinct to survive. That's where that line gets blurred. And now we're going to go into that hypervigilance that sometimes shows up inside dynamics. But actually, before I do, let's check the chat, Summer. See if anybody is giving us some feedback. And yes, they are. See, is Cutwater okay? Jesus, Crystal.
Cutwater is fabulous, girl. I need one.
Listen, I
drink your
mean,
water afterwards. Did you drink your water today?
you drink your regular water first, Crystal. Because if you drink your
Cutwater,
regular water first,
hey, it's water in it.
listen, it is. I mean, we didn't talk about percentages of water. We just said drink some water. So technically, I'm no D type, but she did what we asked her to.
I mean, I had a whole gallon of water today, so it's cut water time now. I'm off for
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
You did your thing. Go ahead.
Listen, get a sip
water,
for
and I had a
me.
whole gallon.
Good. Cheers. I'm still finishing mine. Cheers.
Look, I'm still working on mine. So yep, sip that cut water for the crowd, sis.
Don't
But
worry,
let's get
y'all
back
gonna
into
make
the
it
chat.
through. Y'all gonna make it through. I work outside, so I have to drink a lot of water.
Oh, yeah.
I was just about to say, all those listening, don't listen to them thinking they don't be drinking their water. They got their water on hand.
I drink my water. Look, I'm gonna sip some right now, y'all, so I can have some witnesses.
Me too.
Yup, let them act up a little bit over here.
Okay, he just pop in to throw us off. That's what he be doing. But Miko adds to the conversation that she used to struggle with that a lot. And I'm definitely thinking we're talking about that invisibility thing, which is what we were just referring to. It happens to the best of us. Sometimes when you're so used to being seen for the wrong reasons, you just like, okay, let me go to the opposite end of the spectrum. Let me just go ahead and be quiet and shut up and mind my business. So related. Um, Latricia asks, can you possibly clarify what you're meaning by emotional control? Are you meaning the D type control of the S type emotions or self regulation control of emotions? In this context, Latricia, self regulation.
Yeah.
Where when we talking that internal work, we're always going to be talking about that self-reflection, that internal work, something to do with self. The D-type support in your self-regulation, calling you out of your crowd when you're going too far, allowing you to vent when you need to vent so it doesn't come out in inopportune places. That is amazing. But for this purpose, this intent of this Zoom, we're talking about control of self on the emotional level. Because they can tell you how to act, but does that mean I'm not going to fall out in the middle of the floor and have a tantrum? I would hope. I would hope. But it's up to me to regulate my emotions and make sure I don't act a fool because I won't get in trouble. So I hope that clarifies it, Latricia.
That's why
Chance asks, yes, Lord. Going quiet and invisible simply in survival mode, never again. I was just about to say, Chance, I'm glad that was your second comment because I was about to say, no, not up in here. Um, no one's terrible, Amika. We're all fantastic, Amiko. Don't no name calling. We're not horrible people. We spread love and joy. Let's see here. Miss Serenity asks, what would be a good solution for that? Verify Serenity because we covered a lot of stuff, and I want to assume that we get the wrong answer to your question. You gotta come off mute, Serenity. I'm looking at you, dead in your face. There you go.
Okay. Well, I was just asking, like, what would you suggest? What are some things that you would suggest that a submissive, especially a more introverted submissive, do in that situation?
That's good. Uh, I'm gonna allow a more introverted submissive to tackle this first, because introverted is not I. Typically, I journal. I write stuff down first just to collect my thoughts, and then I kind of shift through that to figure out what I need to say or what I need to express and what can say in a journal. Because sometimes you just need to get it out. So that's me. But if anyone, I'm seeing a few of my more introverted ladies and gents here. If anybody wants to offer some insight, I almost coughed the name out right there. I'm gonna let you volunteer yourself, though.
Look, Candy got her hand raised. I'll go after Candy.
All right, Candy.
I mean, I said in the chat, I struggle with this. I have found that journaling and chat BGBT has been my best friend because I'll journal and then I'll put it in chat BGBT and 90% of the time it'll rewrite it so that what I want to say or what I'm trying to say comes out. So it doesn't feel like a garbled mess of just emotion.
Mm-hmm.
I would honestly have to say for people that are introverted like myself, um, I'm a Sagittarius, so sometimes I need to have a conversation. I need to talk about certain stuff. I just started using Chat GBT, probably like 6 months ago. Been a submissive almost 2.5 years. So basically, just speaking authentically. If there's situations arise that you need to speak about, you need to express yourself. There's something that you're not getting. You just got to have that conversation, respectfully, of course, because you don't want to get in trouble. But just being authentic, like sometimes stuff has to be said, and yeah, that builds toward a healthy dynamic, a healthy DS relationship. So for me myself, I journal at night, but when in the early stages, when I had to get something off my chest, I had to respectfully ask for conversation, and man, and that's just me though, but. That I honestly think that's the only way. Now in the age of chat, maybe you could put something through to kind of speak to him, but I've learned my sir, so I kind of know what goes and what doesn't. I learned pretty early on. Don't mean I didn't ever get on his nerves, but he knows that I say what I mean. And when we have a conversation, he listens because he knows like I am an introvert. So if I'm speaking about something, if I'm stating certain things, he's in tune with it because he knows I'm saying stuff for a reason. And it's kind of like built and grown from there. So I would just say speak. If you need to use your resources like ChatGPT, definitely use them. That's what they're there for. But just have a genuine conversation. Sometimes everything ain't pretty. It might not come out exactly perfect, but that's how you build a healthy, authentic relationship.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, you guys. Glad we got some answers for you, Miss Serenity. You keep those amazing questions coming because if not, I'm gonna have to pick somebody out the crowd, and they hate when we do that. I think they low key like it though because that's why they keep their hands down so that we can call on them. But that's just me guessing. But going back into the chat, Timothy Ann adds, being quiet and just listening was the best way for me to learn what I needed to learn, but I've never wanted to be seen. And we said that, Timothy, that is perfectly okay. Not everybody needs the spotlight. Not everybody needs to be on the front stage. I am in a house full of introverts. A house full of them, because it's not
Yeah.
just some. Sir likes to be in the background, like so. Being introverted is a-okay. We just don't want you introverting, so to speak, the wrong things, the wrong emotions. So some people got to lay back in the cut, hear what they need to hear, and then they operate from there. Some people can hear it immediately and they immediately processed it and they have a response ready. There's no wrong way to address issues, topics, questions in a dynamic. It's just we're talking about the motivating factor behind it. We want to make sure we're always coming from a healthy, organic, grounded space, because a lot of times when we're coming from that influx of that emotional turmoil, it very rarely comes out right.
Yeah.
And most of us have been there, even when you're right. If you're overcome with emotion, you're going to say it in a way that it just kind of, it just, it exceeds the point. It overshadows it. So whatever way you choose to express yourself, be it more introverted or shouting it from the rooftops, just make sure that it's not coming from a fear-based place or a fear of failure, as we spoke on last week. We want to make sure that we're, again, being our authentic selves, and that's all this is about here, Timothy. Candy adds, "Ooh, I've struggled with this because of how I was raised. While I've gotten better, I have to stay aware of it constantly." Yep. Trauma, a lot of trauma comes from childhood for most of us. Yeah, as adults, we suffered trauma in adulthood. There are a lot of people that had wonderful upbringings. Mom and dad were in the house, siblings were amazing, and then they get to adulthood and something horrible happens. But a lot of times, the trauma and the habits that are hardest to break are the ones that have been with us the longest. And those are the ones that you have to work on every day. I still have it. Like, I have to remind myself, hey, this is not the end of the world. Nothing's falling apart. This is bad. This is unfortunate. But you're not going to fall apart. And then, what do you know it? I survived. But for a long time, I would tell you, the top of me would say, I'm going to die. Just, the world is over. It's falling apart. So definitely, as long as you're working on it, we're just here to make sure we're offering out some tools that may have worked for us, work for other people we know to help everybody along in this journey. So that is a-okay. A Crystal Phoenix off the cut water comes in and adds when it comes to topic. I am still working on that because I am so used to talking back when things start to get emotional and when the wrong things are said, and I get frustrated and scared about how the conversation is going to go. I identify with that,
I
Candy.
do too. Yeah.
When I get emotional, I start speaking more. I start getting to want you to understand me more. Especially if I feel misunderstood and I feel like, oh, I'm about to become a bad guy real fast. No, listen to me before you even think that. Or it's I'm not being heard. So it's a step by step thing. I just say don't drink a cut water before I had that conversation, Candy. That's it. As long as you drink a cut water before the conversation, you fine. And take a pause. And some people said it. I think you said it. Chat GBT. Because that's how I started. And then after a while, I realized that it was kind of just giving me the tools. So now I'm able to go in and draft my own response. Every so often, it's a hyper emotional topic. I'll run it through chat. Just make sure I'm not tripping. But it's a tool. So utilize it for as long as you need it. But the goal is to be able to do that communicated in a healthy way on your own some lonesome. That is the goal here. Let's see here. I'm making sure I get everybody. We got some journalers in the mix. Latricia says she's working on her tone because it's not always what you say or what she says that Mr. has an issue with. It's the way I say it in my face. Just going we just gonna sit here with you real quick and just give you our face, Latricia. You are not alone. You are not alone. Sometimes I have to tell my face what to do before I tell my mouth what to do, if that makes sense. Because the face is gonna show it first. And I done caught myself. Who you rolling your eyes at? I did not mean to do that. That was supposed to be an internal thing. So definitely, especially for a lot of us ladies in the lifestyle that identify as types, but in our regular lives, we're the people that make decisions. People ask us questions. We decide for folks. Sometimes you don't know how to cut that off. you go to swap over, and the mouth didn't swap with it. So you are not alone in that. Again, we are all work in progresses here. See, Crystal says facts. My face will tell my feelings before I can process it. Mystique said, I thought I had a poker face. I don't.
Definitely don't.
Listen, I don't think, I'm not saying this to be sexist because I'm a woman. I don't know many women that have a good poker face. Um, because most times it's an eye roll or your mouth do something or you pause and do the little head tilt. A lot of us struggle with that because we're emotional creatures and we kind of talk physically, like the hand movements and stuff. So y'all, I'm loving what I'm seeing in the chat because I am not alone. We are all works in progress. The Lord is not done with us yet, and we are going to get our gold stickers. Bam. Uh, let's see. Oh, y'all are coming in with the comments. All right. I'll hit a few more and then we're going to get back to the chat and then we'll swing back around for our next chat prompt and hit some more comments up. So before I go roll it back on, Candy asks, I tend to be extremely misunderstood or come across as challenging a thought, idea, behavior when I'm simply trying to understand. Plus, yeah, my whole WTL face comes out real quick on stupidity. Just that's it. That's it. You are heard. I don't want to say no more, but I feel you. Timothy adds, I learned in being a sub that I have no poker face. Again, not to be sexist. I don't think a lot of us S types do. Even if it's a pout. It don't gotta be angry. It don't gotta be eye roll. Most of us don't know how to hide our emotions. We feel it and it's immediately felt by everybody else. Let's see here. K Phoenix asks, I always say my face has subtitles, and it does. Yep. So the consensus from the chat is everybody keep what they say on the inside, but they say it with their face.
I've avoided a video chat call with my sir before because I knew once I got on the call, he was going to see my face like, oh, H. But I had to take it
What's
anyway.
wrong with you?
I looked up
And that nothing is a dead giveaway.
Oh, yeah. I avoided calls like, oh, just call me on the phone. Just call me on the phone. Sorry, Daddy.
All right, you guys. Okay, let's keep moving. We're gonna come back to the chat, I promise. Next, we're gonna talk about hypervigilance and side dynamics. Trauma often creates a nervous system that tracks emotional shifts constantly. This can look like overanalyzing tone. Was he yelling? Was he mad at me? Was she upset? Fear of correction, that anticipation of disappointment, that emotional scarring for scanning for danger. Like you're just waiting on the other shoe to drop. You ain't did nothing wrong, but you feel like you did something wrong, and eventually something's going to come out about it. But that hypervigilance is not attentiveness. Attentiveness is connection based. Hypervigilance is fear based. So if you feel like you're always waiting for something to happen, or like you have to be on guard. That's that hypervigilance we're talking about. Now, if you're just being attentive to your partner and maybe they're having a bad day, that attentiveness is okay. But the hypervigilance sometimes creates issues in situations where there are none. We're just mentally creating trauma in our head or drama based on our trauma. It's a trauma response, essentially. So yeah, we don't want to do that. We don't want to. It's all connected. Y'all gonna wait till y'all see next week. So fear is definitely it's not something you want to operate from in this lifestyle.
No, not at all. So I think we're headed back to the chat. So
Listen,
back to the chat. Look, back to the chat with another question. Have you ever mistaken anxiety for intuition in a relationship? Again, have you ever mistaken anxiety for intuition in a relationship?
all
And you all know
right.
you can come off mute, go on camera, or put it in the chat and Sheba will read them.
All right, Amico adds, yeah, chronic overthinker and self-corrector, even when nothing has been said yet. Uh, Kate Phoenix asks, ooh, I still skin, especially being neurodivergent. Same here. I notice the inconsistencies and then my mind gets to going, but I've been trying to work and catch that because it's not always what I think. Most times it's not what we think at all. It's your mind when you're operating it's anxiety. Your mind is creating hyper emotional situations. Most times it's I had somebody at work say I want to talk to you the whole time, the whole day I'm getting through work. I'm like, oh my god, it's gonna be am I getting fired, I'm getting wrote up, what? And I was getting a little certificate and a little gift card. But my mind, the anxiety of the not knowing created a scenario in my head where I'd already packed up my desk. I had already drafted the text. I had even updated my resume on lunch because of what I created in my head. So it happens. But catching it is the big thing because then you're able to self correct and say, you know what? It's not that serious. Even if you are getting fired, why taunt yourself with anxiety all day of a situation when you don't even know? So creating those scenarios, it doesn't, sometimes you're able to self-prepare, but sometimes it just makes the situation what it doesn't need to be. Adding, I see a lot of people saying, oh yeah, I definitely do that. Oof, this is a problem with me because I suffer from anxiety and I'm an overthinker. Candy, listen, it happens to the best of us. Let's see here. I'm trying to see all y'all names, but the letters is tiny. But I see talk about it. We all grown. Oh, we is grown. And it's I think it's just human because even kids do it. Come here, come here. You say their name real loud, they scared, they jump, and then they realize you want to give them a toy. So yeah. Let's see here. I can't do that. I need to know because I will overthink it and freak out about it. But that's where the emotional regulation comes in, Crystal. You have to be able to self-soothe yourself through situations. Because sometimes it's not a matter of making you wait. Sometimes there's just no opportunity to talk now. They can be busy. Like Sir can need to have a conversation with me, but he's on a visit. And he's going to see a partner, and I'm not going to interrupt that time because of something we need to discuss. So that requires me to self-regulate, even if it's an unrelated problem to him, and I'm just used to going to him to be soothed. I have to regulate. I have to talk myself through that emotion. That's when you start resorting to the alternatives we were talking about. You start journaling. You start go find a get a partner, an accountability partner, somebody that is going to keep you from spazzing and going overboard until you can talk to your sir. So that's when we use those other resources as types, the Velvet Circle. Oh my gosh, did I say that out loud?
You
But
did.
yeah, that is exactly why the S type chat is the S type chat because everybody's able to go in there and get that insight. Either because they can't go to their D type or they're not ready to go to their D type. Using what is around you helps, even if it's just a friend that knows nothing about the lifestyle, but they just keep you distracted. Talk to me. Let's play a game on the phone. Let's send memes back and forth. So unfortunately, I can't get you a workaround for that one, Crystal, because that's when it's time to do the work. My sir's gonna always say that. It's those moments where you got the work you say you're doing, that's when you got to prove it. That's when you got to show up and show out and say, hey, I can self regulate and I'm not going to fall apart until we talk. I'm going to be okay. So listen, there's some accountability partners in this, the Velvet Circle, that little chat. Feel free to reach out to somebody. There's plenty of ladies in there, and a lot of them are on this chat right now that would be happy to offer an ear or support or just tell you to snap out of it. You gonna be okay. So that's what we here for. We family. Chance adds, sometimes the idea of the unknown can be scary. Sometimes anxiety wins, but my goal is self-correct and think of a more positive option. Exactly. It's we can't make the problems go away in y'all dynamics. We're human, y'all human, the people y'all deal with are human. It's just all about the tools and creating a support, a community where you can go to people that look like you and understand you. And I may not get it, but there's 16,000 people in that group. Somebody got it. And there's somebody out there that you can make that connection with, be it romantic, dynamic, or just strictly platonic. So keep hope alive and keep moving forward, y'all. Timothy adds, so my fear of failure is what always drove me to do better and be better, but I tried to show him that I was okay, but he always knew what I was thinking. I just never learned how to control it. Timothy, that's where the work. Uh, I'm not the really quiet one, but my fear of failure is real. And utilize that support from your D type to help you make that progress. I say utilize it because you don't want to rely on it because they're human and one day they may not have it to give to you and you still got to get it. You still got to find that comfort in yourself or the situation, even if they're unavailable. I say the fear of failure drives you. It can be a driver, but don't allow it to overtake you. You don't want to be overwhelmed with the fear of failure. But if that's a little fire under your butt to get you going, use it. Sometimes our trauma is what drives us to our healing because you're tired of feeling it. You don't want to be stuck in that dark space. And I'm certain I am not the only one that feels that way. So I am going to finish this last comment in the chat and then we're gonna go to you guys. I'm looking at some people, Summer, for some feedback. Just to hear your take on it. But Amiko asks, yeah, but being an introvert makes that kind of hard. A lot of times it's hard to feel comfortable enough even reaching out to people. You just hold everything inside. It's a work in progress. The progress is all we asking for, Amiko, one step at a time. Even if you got a turtle strolling and you inching it, you it's that step. Start by journaling. That's reaching out, putting it down on paper. And then maybe something anonymous, the group, the chat, having someone post something on your behalf that you do trust to say it so you can get that feedback and that advice. That's what we're here for. To support. And I see. Okay, I'm seeing Stephanie and Candy. Y'all agreeing with her? I'm looking like I'm putting a little support team together. Look at y'all. This is coming together. We just gonna love and hug on each other. But I want y'all to hear a bit from my homegirl, Miss Summer, because that's my sister wife. I know she has a lot of insight into this as well because we've been doing our journeys to non-crash out them together. So Miss Summer.
Oh, definitely, Amiko. I am very introverted. Before, when I became a submissive, I do a lot now. I'm in the forefront now, but I always said when I came in, I came in behind two other submissives. So I came in like wanting to be in the background, the fork, like let me let me do the back work. I was kind of pushed into my extrovertness. I'm still really introverted. I take a lot of naps. So when I need to process things, I journal at night. I journal. Sometimes when I'm stressed, I write poetry. So I kind of, that gets my stressed out. As soon as I get my violin tune, I'm gonna start back playing my violin because that's very that relaxes me a lot. But us introverts, you just gotta meeting friends and stuff. Like I'm not the greatest initiator. I always say that. I tell people I'm not the great initiator through text. I text terribly. In person at events or at parties, I'm the person after I talk and speak, I'm on the couch. So we did a 420 party. Everybody's over in the kitchen. I'm sitting on the couch. My stir's like, "Are you okay?" That's me. I was a child and my family was downstairs in my grandma's basement. I was in my grandma's room watching Nickelodeon. I've always been this way. So definitely, Amiko, you can always reach out to me. My DM's always open. I think you would benefit from the S Type, the Velvet Circle, the S Type chat. It's a great group of women. It's a safe space. Nothing gets taken out of the chat. Just get your feet wet a little bit. I had to. I was put in position to. Otherwise, I probably would not be in anything. I'll be just lurking. You see my icon popping in and out of stuff like, but you'll feel better once you make those connections. You'll be able to, get some advice. Like, this is a beautiful love style, but it's sometimes it's very difficult. You need to have people that you can reach out to and for support, because a lot of your vanilla friends, they won't understand this journey. And when you have unique dynamics such as mine, they really won't understand it. So when you have other submissive S types that you can reach out to for support, definitely that's what the chats, that's what the group is for. My DM's always open to anyone. Summer night, ignore my keyboard's wacky tonight, so apologize, but it's summer night. Yeah, I'm definitely always here for support. I put my extrovertness on because I have a heart for service, so I love being supportive, and I'm definitely here to answer any questions. Look, now I'm mad. That's it. That's all.
Yay. She speaks, y'all. She be trying to slide and hit y'all with that deathless smile so y'all look at her to say nothing. But I'm
Right.
gonna come find her every time because she got some beautiful insight. We come from opposite ends of the spectrum. She's relatively new to the lifestyle. I want to say I'm reintroduced to the lifestyle because though my journey started so long ago, I'm on a different path of learning. So you get to hear those alternative perspectives from each of us and from those that contribute on the post, because we may end up in the same place, but our journeys are going to look a lot differently. And this is just a forum just to share those insights and to offer some educational backing to what it is that we do. I just figured out this year what WITWD mean, y'all. So,
Oh,
I just figured
I
that
didn't have
out. So I'm gonna use it as much as I can. But that's what this is here for. Summer Amiko added, that's another thing too. Not being able to talk about things because no one else is kinky or poly. Laugh out loud. And she said, "Thanks, Summer." Aww. Listen, there goes the princess said in the chat, introverts assemble.
Right. Because
I'm an
I wanted to turn
introverted
my camera off
extrovert.
after I spoke. I'm like shy and like, whoo, this a lot every Tuesday. I love it now, but at first I'm like, we gonna do what? Every what? But I love it. I love it.
Listen, I'm an introverted extrovert, so I turn it on. I can go out, I can engage. Y'all see this, but I may not say more than 30 words for the next 30 minutes once we get out of this Zoom. We're gonna talk about it. We do our debrief for our Zoom breakdown. We talk about it, talk about next week's topics. But then I get really quiet, simply because I exert a lot of energy. So, for you introverts, it is possible to get out there and be extroverted. You just have to remember to charge that battery. That's what I say, because listen, you go out, my battery be on 100. By the time we pull into the driveway, that little light, the battery be blinking because we about to die. So glad you guys are getting this feedback from us introverts. We're gonna have a sub meeting. We'll announce that at a later date, so we could just rally and take over quiet murmur by quiet murmur, because y'all know most times we'll be talking when we're around people. We're going to text it to each other, though. Let's see here. Princess, yes, Sheba, that's what I am too, an introverted extrovert. Yeah, you can turn it on. but you got to turn it off. And I think that's most introverts because we got to go out, we got to make money. Most of our jobs require us to talk to people, unfortunately. So you got to be able to turn it on and turn it off. Let's see here. I'm making sure I get everybody before I pass it back off to you, Summer. A social introvert here. That's definitely a thing. Yes, it is, sexy face. It's definitely a thing. You go out, you socialize, and you go home and you be quiet and you don't talk to nobody. So definitely a thing. Oh, okay. Somebody broke it down to you. I saw somebody ask what WITWD means, but I hope they got the definition. Stephanie add, my social media can die down quick, especially with small talk. Listen, get to the point, Steph. Get to the point. Say what you gotta say because I got ADHD and you probably gonna have my attention for about 45 seconds before the butterflies take me and I be gone to La La Land. So be quick about it. Um who is this? Oh, Nikki says, I'm a Scorpio. I just like everyone until I choose I want to get to know you. Don't talk to me until I talk to you. Heard.
Oh,
Y'all remember that. He said don't talk to her until she talked to you. So don't
oh
y'all
no.
get chewed out at one of these munches we getting ready to host trying to talk to her ahead of time. Inbox her first and tell her you gonna greet her in public in advance. No, I don't want y'all getting chewed out on my account. Let's see here. You can get about a couple of hours until out of me for being social. Then I gotta go in hermit mode. Heard and understood stuff. I remember seeing you. We were at that event. She was in there, y'all. She was working a room. Steph was saying hi, she's talking. At some point, looked up, where's Steph? Steph is walking to the door. You need to catch her and say bye because she's about to be out of here. And sometimes that's what it takes. Never put anything more on yourself than you can handle. I may be able to go out and extrovert for 4 hours, and you might get an hour and a half. Both is okay. Use your energy as you choose. But with that said, introverts, extroverts, and all my ADHD heads, I'm going to pass it back off to my sister wife so we can get this ball back rolling.
Alrighty. So we're going to go ahead and cover performance-based safety. When trauma and submission intersect, worth can become tied to usefulness. So the submissive learns if I perform well enough, I reduce risk. So they then overfunction, anticipate needs, suppress fatigue, exceed expectations, avoid emotional inconvenience. But performance based safety always has a cost, burnout, which we touched on last week. And that is not good. And a couple of those, I want to go back to them. Anticipate needs, as long as it's genuine and authentic. I like to anticipate needs, so I always will pull that out. That's not a bad thing necessarily. It's just about how you feel when you're anticipating the needs. If it feels more like a chore, or I really don't want to do it, but I'm gonna make this coffee before you ask for the coffee, but I don't really want to do it, it will equate to burnout. So I kind of wanted to go back to that because I do like to anticipate needs. And we're going to go ahead and jump into case study number 2, which ties into the overachieving sub. This submissive consistently exceeds expectations. They are highly responsive, emotionally controlled, constantly available, low friction. Internally, if I stay useful, I stay safe. But over time, as we said, burnout, exhaustion increases, identity becomes performance, rest feels unsafe, and emotional authenticity decreases. So that cycle is insecurity over performance, validation, escalation, which will lead to burnout. And that comes from Desi and Ryan in 2000. What looks like devotion may actually be survival through performance. And we definitely don't want that. Um, we don't really want performance at all. Your submission should be authentic. It should come from a place of service, of wanting to service your dame dominant. So if it's coming and it feels more like a chore, or you're putting on an act, then you may want to internalize and do some kind of self work to see why is that? Where is that coming from? It may be you need a conversation with your your dominant dame, or may not be a good fit. It just, you have to internalize that, because a lot of submissive, all of your service, your submission should be, it should be genuine. This is a beautiful love style. It should come from a place of service. And anytime you feel part of your service or your submission is not resonating with you genuinely, conversations need to be had to see what is causing that. That's all. Do we have anything in the chat, Sheba?
I'll check. Miss Serenity, sexy face, you on mute, baby. And Miko asks, I think I did that a lot in the beginning based on what I thought a submissive should be doing versus what was comfortable for the dynamic I was in and was required of me in that dynamic. Yep, you want to be genuine, Miko. If it feels unnatural, question why you're doing it, because most things that you're doing just to make someone else happy, they don't last long. Eventually, that burnout or just the sheer fact that you don't really want to do it, you're doing it because you know they want it, but it's not true to who you are. Eventually, it catches up to you. So
Yeah.
you always want to be privy to that.
Yeah.
But all right, I'm gonna go ahead and hand you guys off to the beautiful Miss Serenity. Is gonna hit us with an emotional reality check.
Okay, let's just pause for a second because this is usually the point where people start recognizing themselves quietly and then immediately try to explain it away. Just ask yourself, when you think you've disappointed someone you care about, what happens inside you? Do you stay present or do you start shrinking? Just something to think about.
All right. All right, you guys. She don't go nowhere, Miss Serenity, because we have reached that midway point, and we're gonna go ahead now that you've hit them with that emotional reality check. You got to go ahead and get them reset.
Absolutely. Okay, everyone, let's take a deep breath in and let it go. Notice what feels familiar, not what you agree with, not what you disagree with, just what you recognize, and stay with yourself. Breathe again and out and stay present.
Thank you, sexy face. All right, guys, let's go ahead and move forward. We're gonna address healing through safe submission. I repeat, healing through safe submission. I specify safe because certain submissions or submitting to certain people isn't a safe thing to do. Submission after trauma is not inherently unhealthy. In safe dynamics, submission can become corrective, stabilizing, and relationally reparative. So it helps you fix what's broken. It corrects those negative behaviors that you exhibited due to the trauma, that trauma response, and it stabilizes you in a way that you can work through that trauma in a healthy way on your journey to healing, because healing isn't linear. It's not a one-step phase. It is an ongoing process. It's much like setting a bone. It doesn't just heal overnight. You got to put in that cash. You got to be easy with it. There may need to be some physical therapy behind it. And for a lot of people, you still feel that little ache and that little cringe and that creak in that broken bone long after it's healed. So you still feel it. You feel the effects of it long after that trauma has transpired. And because a safe structure can provide consistency and emotional clarity, negotiated trust, and repair after rupture, healing is not removing that trauma history. Healing is staying present without abandoning yourself. You show up the way you're supposed to show up. And one thing I like to say, just because I did it, you do not allow, or you do not utilize your trauma as a tool, or you weaponize it against other people. So when you're being corrected, well, my mom did this to me, and I had this relationship, and knowing is okay, but utilizing that as an excuse to overstep or walk over someone else is not. We do not want to be weaponizing our trauma against people or using it as an excuse for bad behavior, misbehavior, aka just being a bad person to people, whether it's being an S type or being a D type, what have you, even if it's just in your vanilla life. Trauma is not an excuse. I heard this said to me. It is not an excuse to bleed on people. It is not an excuse to infect others. It is not an excuse to create chaos and havoc in a place where you should be, promoting peace and authenticity. So just because you're hurting, it does not make it okay to go along with that saying of hurt people, because sometimes hurt people heal people, and heal people help other hurt people. There can be a positive outcome to that. And if you just don't have the energy for it, it's okay to step away from it. We just don't want our trauma to impact someone in a negative way when it requires a little bit more self-regulation on our part. Let's see here. And I'm looking in the chat before I hand this back off. If you do things you really don't want to do, it can start to chip away at you. Don't fall in that trap. Absolutely, Stephanie. It For the people that like to be helpers, which is a lot of S types, saying no sometimes can be really, really hard. But saying yes can trap you in a cycle that you don't want to be in. And have you ever heard, well, I didn't know you didn't want to do that, or I didn't know you didn't like that? It's because you did it. You did it with a smile most times. You didn't complain. You moved forward even internally when you were like, again, we did it. And eventually, unbeknownst to that person or those people or that family member, it chips away at you. And eventually the resentment builds, and now you're hostile because you didn't speak up. So you're definitely right about that. You be honest. It may end a dynamic. It may end a friendship, a relationship, but at least you'll be walking into something where both people feel their needs are being met, where one person isn't doing something simply to appease another, because there's no happiness in that and there's no joy in that. And we already signed up for a lot of this lifestyle. So let's be authentic while we in it, because this is the place to be authentic. If you want to wear a full latex bodysuit, you want to be tied from the rafters, you want to be tied down and have wax poured over you, this is the place to be authentic, and it shouldn't just occur in the scene. We should show up authentic in our dynamics. We should show up authentic in our DS relationships, be it romantic or just straightforward. Uh, let's not leave it inclusive to just that scene. Let's make it, cohesive. We don't just communicate about whether we want to be staked or not. We want to communicate that, hey, this is not something I'm comfortable with doing, and I don't want to agree to it now, only to resent you for it later. So let me know up front if this is something you can deal with. Bam. I said bam like it's easy, but easier said than done. But sometimes with work, it becomes that easy. Let's see here. All right, you guys. So let's go ahead and we're going to go to our next case study. This is the corrective dynamic. So a submissive enters a structured communicative, Lord, every week it's a word, communicative dynamic. And initially, they're hypervigilant. They have shutdown responses and they absolutely fear correction. But over time, they become emotional, the regulation improves, communication increases, and safety is internalized. And this comes from Siegel in 2012. McConsier and Shaver in 2007. Pretty much the dynamic doesn't erase trauma, but it rewires safety experience. So if you are in a healthy dynamic, you may come in with a fear-based response. But if you're in the right dynamic, eventually we should stop operating from a fear-based place. You should be comfortable speaking up. You should be comfortable being emotionally transparent. You should be comfortable communicating. And internally, when you hear problems arise, the first thought shouldn't be, I'm unsafe. It should be, I'm safe regardless of what happens, because your D type may be unhappy with you and you may be a bad girl or a bad boy. But that correction doesn't break you apart. It doesn't fall apart for you. It doesn't feel like a world-ending occurrence. So it's not here to erase. It's here to deal. Honestly, a lot of the tools we utilize in DS dynamics can be used to deal with our trauma. That journaling, that writing before we speak, all of that is ways that we can process our trauma in healthy ways within a dynamic.
Absolutely. Do we have anything else in the chat?
Let's check. Let's see here. All right, Amiko. I'm cute. Thank you. But that is all we have in the chat, you guys. Amiko and heart faces.
Alrighty, we're going to go ahead and continue on to hiding inside the role. Sometimes submission becomes a place to disappear, not intentionally, but psychologically. The role replaces identity. Friendships fade, individuality shrinks, needs become unclear. Healing expands selfhood, hiding it reduces. So again, it's about showing up for yourself. Well, being authentic, I should say, not showing up for yourself. You want to show up for yourself, and you're dominant dame. But everything is keeping on. So we're going to go ahead and move on to another case study number 4, which is the disappearing self. Over time, a submissive becomes role defined, emotionally narrowed, externally dependent for identity, but internally, if I perform the role, I know who I am. And that case study is by Vander Kolk in 2014. What once felt stabilizing becomes self-erasure. We definitely don't want that. So everything is kind of tie-in. I'm definitely loving how everything is kind of tie-in from last week to this week, and we'll continue on. You definitely want to still be authentic yourself, and you don't want to lose yourself because we're all individual. We all bring something different to our DS dynamics. So you still want to keep yourself. You want to evolve and grow and do the self-work on things that you need to work on so that you do have a successful dynamic, but you definitely want to stay true to yourself. You never want to erase yourself because in the end, that's what builds resentment. And resentment in a DS dynamic is not good. So always show up your true self. Never erase yourself. Have those hard talks. Sometimes talks need to be had. It won't always be pretty, but if you're in your DS dynamic for the long term, these talks have to happen. And it'll just make everything better in the end. And always, when I say hard talks, be respectful. Always be respectful when addressing your sir or ma'am. And it's back to you, Sheba.
All righty. All right, guys. So I know we have said a lot tonight. I know we covered a lot, and a lot of this is kind of picking up from where we left off last week. So if you're looking to further your understanding of this topic or any other topic you have seen us cover, we post weekly on our YouTube page. And also, if you're looking for a more educational insight that we don't offer here in the Zoom, you know what's coming, my shameless plug. Visit Triskelion Academy, you guys. It's going to be triskelionsacademy.com. Of course, you know, Sister Wife Summer is going to put that link in the chat. And also, if any references that we referred to tonight pique your interest, she's also going to put those references in the chat as well. So you'll be able to look that information up. You'll be able to see what we see, read what we read, and just increase those conversations in your own friendships and circles off the Zoom. So now that we've gotten that out there, I'm going to double check the chat. Let's see here. Let's make sure. So they're saying that you can lose yourself in service. Absolutely, you can lose yourself in service. And sometimes it doesn't even come from an unhealthy place. Just us as S type sometimes, you know, depending on your level of devotion and your level of submission or service, because not every S type is a service sub or a service slave. So I want to be clear about that. Not every S type is service based. But as long as you're showing up for that, or you're doing the work, you should be fine. But when you make it all about them, you should find joy in your submission. You should find, I say it all the time, you should find joy in your service and your submission. The biggest telltale sign that you're not finding joy in it is if you loaf doing it, or you loaf doing some of the things, or you be so encompassed in what they need, what they want, you forget who you are outside of that dynamic. And we're people, we have voices, so it's definitely possible. We're just here offering those tools so that you can navigate it, because sometimes it happens before you realize it. Let's see here. My first discussion, and it was well worth it. Thank you. Oh, I'm so glad you enjoyed it, and I hope you come back next week. We do this every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And again, most time within days, our sir has the videos up on YouTube. You can check those out. We currently have about 40 videos on YouTube. So there's a lot of information to check out there. So don't hesitate to go back. You can see what you missed. You can see previous discussions, and you can bring some of those questions you may have on things you've seen back to the chat. Alrighty, you guys. So with that being said, it is after 8 o'clock, and you know we don't want to keep you long. Me and the ladies are going to hit you with our final words of the evening for tonight's Zoom. We're first going to start it off with Miss Serenity.
Survival is not the same as safety, and awareness is often where healing begins.
Submission should never require disappearance.
And I'm just going to add that, and healing is learning how to stay connected to yourself while staying connected to others. You don't want to disconnect. Keep your support system, y'all. You want to keep those people around you. But before we close out, we're going to pass it over to Sir for something insightful, or at the very least, a dad joke.
What's up, y'all? I know y'all was waiting for it. It's that time again. I know y'all wait all week just to come back to hear one of my jokes. And then you go to work the next day and you tell everybody the joke like you made it up. Give me my props. That's all I'm saying. Just give me my props. So I got a question for y'all. Why are pirates called pirates? I don't know. They just are. No. So I told the pirate joke last week. It didn't go over well. So I said, I'm gonna try it again. Still not going over well. Okay, all right. Well, what do you call a sad strawberry? A blueberry. A blueberry because it's sad.
Somebody laughs, so he stops.
I know y'all gonna go to work tomorrow. Y'all gonna tell everybody that one. It's all right. It's all right. I don't mind. Oh, y'all must have liked that one. Y'all laughing for real. Okay.
We are laughing. That was good, buddy. Hey, Caleb.
I'm gonna try the pirate thing one more time. Not now, but I'm gonna try it one more time because I'm gonna get y'all to laugh for real at a pirate joke. I'm gonna come up with a good one. Okay, I got one.
You got it.
What part of the body does a pirate most love? The aye, Captain.
I like that one. Good job.
Yeah, Captain. Well, you thought that one was funny. I saw her. She likes that one.
Look, Kayla clap.
I should have said the booty, but the eye, yeah.
Can't give it all away at once, sir.
Right. Yeah, save some.
I got you, Amico. You can tell that one in a couple weeks when they don't. Yeah, once they forget, you can come back and say it. All right, y'all. Well, thanks for coming in and hanging out with us for a little while. Every week we do this. We take an hour out of y'all time and y'all come. You sit with us the whole time. You get involved in the conversation. I truly appreciate that because it's Tuesday. Y'all just getting off of work, just getting home, and y'all would rather just kind of relax and take it easy, but you're taking time out to come and chill with us, get a little bit of information. All I ask is that you share this information with someone who may benefit from it, someone that's new, or maybe they're not new and they're just looking to kind of brush up. We're starting to open it up more. At first, it was just a group thing, a small group thing. If you notice, there has been, newer people showing up. We're expanding more and getting more and more people in. We're allowing more people to come in. Like Summer said, we got 40 videos now. We've been doing this for a while now, and it's really good information. So I feel like we're in a place now where we can really start putting it out there and really helping the masses with understanding the more introspective side of all of this. So thank you for all y'all support coming out and giving us the input. I want to add, if anyone goes and you check out any of our citations and you have a conversation you want to have about something, or let's say you see something a different way or whatever it may be, please get with us. We'll talk about it. We might even use it. we're always open for these conversations. That's what makes this so successful, is that we're actually inputting we're using the input that we get from the community to make this better. So whatever you can think of, lay it on us. We're going to do what we can. Again, I say Fortiori Una, that's Latin for stronger together. That's because I truly believe in what we're doing here. I believe that when we stand together and we stand shoulder to shoulder as a unified front, we can truly make a difference out here. So when you hear me say it, know that I mean it from my heart. From Triskelion Dynasty, Black BDSM Elite, and all affiliates, Fortiori Una, everyone. Have a good evening.
Bye, guys.
Hang up.
Okay.
I guess let me get my hang up.